Old school Pokemon here, back again with a podcast episode number 27, our 1 year anniversary podcast episode. Pretty exciting stuff here, joined by my usual co-host, Catch 'em All Collectibles, Dan. How we doing tonight, Dan?
I'm doing well. It's crazy. 1 year. It's a little bit bittersweet thinking about it. 1 year of podcasts posted on both our channels, and a little bit bittersweet to announce it, but this is going to be the end of the podcast as you guys have known it.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough ending this kind of era that we've had going. It's been a fun ride for sure. I know looking back, we were planning this podcast for quite some time. First episode was back in March. I want to say we started talking about it back in January of 2020, and took about 2 months of us going back and forth on Facebook messages before we recorded our first episode. And that was the beginning of your YouTube channel as well.
Yeah.
So it's definitely gonna be tough. Moving on from this.
It's been quite the ride, and as you said, it was the start of my channel just under a year ago. But I guess as one chapter ends, another one sometimes starts, right? So I guess we'll formally announce with that our podcast will be continuing, but under a different name. So 2 weeks from when you see this, Nick and I will no longer be posting the podcast on our separate channels. We are going to team up on a new third channel so that the podcast can live on its own channel, have its own branding. And after 1 year of a no-name Pokemon podcast, we're actually going to formally come up with a name. And so, yeah.
Yep. I think we have a pretty decent name. We won't give it away in this episode, but I think we have a pretty decent name. It should be fun. So we'll create that new YouTube channel, combined YouTube channel for our podcast. Got a few other cool ideas for that channel as well. So it should be a fun ride. But definitely, you guys watching this, be sure to subscribe to that new YouTube channel. We probably won't have a link to it in this video right out of the gate, but you'll definitely know about it. We'll be talking about it in all of our videos next week and on Instagram and doing community posts and so on and so forth. So definitely be sure to give us a follow for our next podcast episode in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and in 2 weeks, new branding, new channel, and it's gonna be the same podcast and hopefully love. But we're gonna change some little things about it. Nothing too drastic. One thing we are intending to formalize, we've had guests on this podcast sporadically. We're going to formalize having a guest every other episode. So we are going to announce right now our guest for the next podcast is Peter. Some people will know him. Who he works actively with Ludkins, returning all your orders, Ludkins USA. He also is currently running Polaris Grading, and he has a YouTube channel, Arcashine, and I believe that's his same name on Instagram as well. So yeah, since we're going to be formalizing having guests every other podcast, that'll work out to once a month roughly. We'll always announce them in the podcast prior so that you can cater your questions towards our guests' area of expertise or towards our guests' business, whatever they've got going on. Definitely leave comments below, anything you have for Peter, and we'll bring those up in our chat with him.
Yeah, that should be a really fun one. It'll be cool to interact with him on a Zoom call or podcast type thing, because I'm sure you're the same way, but we've emailed back and forth quite a bit with all just PSA CGC returns, so it'll be cool to finally put a face to the name. I'm looking forward to that one.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm excited to have him as a guest and excited to experience our podcast in that new format, right? I mean, kind of the same format, but just putting it on the new page and all that. A little bit of a exciting new beginning, rebranding, whatever you want to call it. But
I'm excited to see how the growth of that YouTube channel does. We were talking pre-recording. It's going to be really funny if that new channel surpasses both of our separate channels. Hopefully, I guess that would be cool if that did happen, but hopefully I would hope that it doesn't happen, but we'll see. We'll see what happens there.
on the other end, it's going to be a little sad if we have 3 subscribers by the time our first podcast drops. And instead of the 1,000 views we get on our own channels, we get like 50 views. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully we can coax some of our viewers over there, but we figured it was the better way to go because we talked about continuing the way we've gone, an unnamed podcast, posting it on 2 channels at once. Kind of a weird thing. People need to choose which channel they want to watch it on, and it's kind of different content to both of our channels, right? So it's going to be its standalone thing, and we have a couple different ideas, as Nick kind of mentioned, on what we might do to fill in the 2-week spans with that channel. So yeah, hopefully you'll find us over there, and hopefully you'll enjoy the new way to consume the podcast.
Yeah. So hopefully, be sure to smash that subscribe button whenever whenever we post a link to the new channel, so you guys can continue watching your favorite Pokemon podcast of all time.
And while you're here, whatever channel you're on, the last time, you might as well smash that like and subscribe button too on whatever channel you're watching it on. So hopefully mine, but if you're on Nick's, like and subscribe too.
Although I will give a shout out to Walrus Tank on Instagram. 2 weeks ago, he posted a story showing the YouTube channel that he was watching the podcast on, and it was the superior of the 2 channels, my channel. So thank you, Walrus Tank, if you're watching this.
And I replied to his story. I said, "Why are you watching it on the wrong channel?" So then he followed up with another story saying that he had he runs 2 tabs at once with one of them muted. So now you'll only have to run it in one, and it'll just be easier. You won't have to make one of us feel bad if you ever tag us in watching our podcast.
Yes, exactly. And another perk for a new channel is probably for the first at least couple months to a year, there won't be any ads on our podcasts.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be a throwback to the ad-free experience that people got on my channel for the first like 9 months. So yeah, that'll be nice.
Yeah, definitely. Should be exciting. So yeah. But I think we can go ahead and hop right into this episode, our big 1-year anniversary episode.
Yep. Yeah, a little bit shorter on the questions than some of our recent ones, but we've got some good questions in here. So go out with a bang for the dual posted podcast.
Yes, there we go.
So first question comes from Pokey Martin. Here's 2 scenarios. Let me know what you guys think. Card A is $100 in PSA 9, $500 in PSA 10, and card B is $1,000 in PSA 9 and $10,000 in PSA 10. How much should a CGC 9.5 be worth versus how much would you hope it was worth? I don't know if people will like this answer or dislike this answer, but I think it might be a little polarizing. Is the CGC 9.5 a PSA 9 or a PSA 10? When I buy a lot of CGC 9.5s, and I try to evaluate the card for what it is. I try to buy the card, not the grade. And I'm never going to pay PSA 10 prices for a CGC 9.5, but I'm going to try to pay PSA 9 prices in an auction, which I've done many times successfully. But if it feels like it's really a 10, I'll pay. Let's go on the first example, 100 to 500. If it feels like a really strong 9.5 that could be a 10, maybe right smack dab in the middle, $300. As far as what the like that's what it should be in a way. What I'm seeing on the market, what I'm experiencing, when I'm buying them, they're going for closer to 150 tops, maybe like a 50% premium to PSA 9, maybe, oftentimes less. So I guess 300 is what I would hope it would be worth if it were strong. If it wasn't, I just wouldn't sell it. I would crack it and cross it to PSA. And then the 1,000, 10,000 example, I guess in a way you could almost think of like, for that price point, you could think of like a PSA 9 base unlimited Charizard. I think they're closer to like 1,500 now, but they kind of did bottom towards 1,000. Mm-hmm. While the PSA 10 bottomed towards 10,000, I think. So a CGC 9.5 in that, I would hope it would be worth in the middle-ish, $5,000-ish. But in practice, it would probably go for 2 or less. But if I were the owner of it, I would. If it were a PSA 9, I wouldn't crack and cross it. If it were a PSA 10, I would, and I would get the PSA 10 price for it. So at the end of the day, it's all about the card inside the case. And there's a very big difference too between a CGC 9.5 that's 9.5, 9.5, 9.9, and one that's 10, 10, 9.5, 9.5. One of them I'm extremely confident is going to cross to a PSA 10, and the other one feels more like a PSA 9, especially if the 9 is a like surface 9, mm-hmm. edges 9, and then centering and edges are corners. Centering and corners are 9.5. That would feel more like it probably wouldn't cross to a PSA 10. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it all.
Yeah, I am not feeling too good about CGC right now. I want to do a video next week talking about CGC and a return that I just got back, and it is so depressing.
I have a CGC video coming next week too.
Oh boy. But it's, I think where we have to compare, like, so CGC pricing correlates to PSA pricing. I think that just proves PSA is always going to be the gold standard and what we base pricing off of to begin with. So I was very optimistic for CGC in the beginning. Now I don't know how I feel about them. Kind of a similar example before I get into the actual question. At Collecticon in Orlando, I had a CGC 8 unlimited base set Charizard and a PSA 8 unlimited base set Charizard. The PSA 8 I had priced it $600. I sold it for $550. The CGC 8 I had priced for, I want to say I had it priced for $500, and it sold for $450 or $400, somewhere in there. So same grade, PSA 8 versus CGC 8. They were both roughly the same condition, and definitely got a substantial premium for the PSA graded copy than I did the CGC copy. So that kind of just proves that people aren't willing to pay up for the CGC grades.
To be fair, though, you did price them differently. Like, if they were both priced the same, I wonder if the other one would have sold too.
I don't think
Probably
so.
Not.
Because I had the CGC 8 listed on eBay for months at 500 or best offer, and there wasn't a single bite on it. So I don't. It's tough. It's possible that someone could have came in and paid the same price for a PSA 8 and a CGC 8, but I would find that hard to believe. But yeah, in an ideal world, I would agree with you. I think a CGC 9.5 should be somewhere in between the PSA 9 price and the PSA 10 price. Even if it is like it's not a guaranteed 10, but it's borderline 9-10, I think that should command somewhat of a premium over the PSA 9 price. But I honestly don't think we'll ever get to a point where that happens. Just because like I said earlier, I think PSA is always going to be what everyone bases value off. So they're going to look at the card and say, is this a PSA 9 or is this a PSA 10? They're never going to look at it as, okay, this is a CGC 9.5. What's the value of that? It's always going to be towards a PSA 9 unless it has a shot at a PSA 10, like what you were saying.
Yeah. Like BGS has existed for a lot longer, and I think BGS 9.5 premium only exists on like a select handful of different cards. Like I would say base first Charizard, probably even some of the other base first hollows. There's a distinct tier in between. Like when PSA 9 base first Charizard was going for 40 to 50, there were BGS 9.5s going for 100 to 120, I think.
Yep.
You could look at them and you could tell they were not PSA 10s, but they did have their own distinct. I could see the higher end stuff like that having its own distinction in between somewhere, but not like a general across the board, anything like that.
That's a good point too. Yeah, mainly on the higher end stuff. Yeah,
it's going to be the exception, not the rule.
Yeah, exactly. I hadn't thought about that, but that is a good point there. So my first question is from Dosido. He asked, if you guys had to pick 3 cards to invest in right now, under $1,000 a card for the long term, which cards would you choose? I wish I thought about that for. I completely blanked on thinking about that. So you don't have your 3, do you?
I do.
Oh, you can go first. You can take the lead on this one.
So I don't like this. Sounds like investment advice, just asked in a little bit better way. But I don't know the 3 specific cards off the top of my head, but I will tell you some traits of what I would look to buy. And it kind of relates to the last question. I would look for CGC 9s or 9.5s with really strong subgrades that looked like they could be PSA 10s. It's probably kind of cheating to answer that way. But I would buy 3 CGC 9.5 cards at auction that were WotC first edition set cards. Or I guess if I have to not cheat, I would pick like under $1,000. You can get some Skyridge Aquapolis. You can get some Fossil Jungle first edition PSA 10s. You can get some even Neo era PSA 10 first edition hollows. So I would pick 3 of them that I could get the best deal on at auction. I'm not going to pick 3 specific ones because it's going to depend on the day. It's going to depend on which one I can get the best discount to recent sales on. But those would be like the characteristics of what I would look for.
Way to play it safe over there.
Playing it smart.
Playing it safe. you're the politician of the group here.
Yeah.
So I actually completely blanked on this one, but my first choice is going to be, I'm going to call it as it counts because I was able to pick up a PSA 9 Fire Red Leaf Green Charizard EX for right at $1,000. And I think that was a pretty good deal because eBay comps are like $1,100, $1,200 right now. But if you can find someone to buy it off of friends and family or something like that, you should be able to get it for $1,000 or so. And I think that's my first one. I'm really not a big EX collector, but that Charizard EX has a really, really cool artwork. And I think nines of that card are really cheap in my opinion. So that would be my first one. My second one isn't going to be as specific, but I would say PSA 8 first edition base hollows. I did a trade for some, or I traded away a few at Collecticon in Orlando, and I was kind of surprised by the pricing of those cards. Not excluding the big three, so Blastoise, Charizard, and Venusaur, but all the other 13 are within that like $500 to $750 price point, and I think that's a really good value for the first Pokemon sets to ever come out. So I would definitely go with those. If I had to get more specific, I would go with more popular Pokemon. So Alakazam, Chansey, Raichu, ones like that versus your Hitmonchan, Magneton.
Yeah.
And then for my number 3, I would say number 3. I would go with does it have to be cards? Did he say cards?
Under 1,000 a card. Yeah.
Dang. I was gonna say sealed packs or blisters or something like that. I'm gonna go with base unlimited Charizards in 8 to 9. Because that's always gonna be a nostalgic card. Everyone knows base set Charizard. And I think that's always gonna be a really popular card. So
I like them. And it's crazy to think too. You can even get some PSA 9 first edition hollows of the lesser popular ones. And if not PSA 9, then probably CGC 8.5, CGC 9. I would be on board with those as well. I mentioned kind of more like PSA 10s, but I could see PSA 9s of the higher tier stuff.
I don't know if you would. I don't know if you would be able to get any e-reader 10s for under 1,000. Do you think? I don't know pricing.
I haven't had one to sell in a long time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look really quickly. I'm pretty sure you can. Yeah, a lot of them.
Man. So I would say those are decent value too.
Yeah, per Pokemon price, I see a lot of them. Maybe the last sold is a really long time ago, but there's quite a few of them that are falling in that range.
Okay. Yeah, even I got a consignment with the 9s. A lot of like Expedition, Aquapolis, a couple Skyridge 9s. And those I thought were really cheap. $200-$300 a piece, even for like Jolteon. There was another one that I thought was, I forget what card it was. But yeah, a couple $100 for those, which I thought was a pretty good deal for a mint copy of those types of cards. So I guess that would be my fourth.
Yeah. When I saw those stories go up, I'm like, man, I almost want to buy some of these.
Give you a good deal if you want to buy some.
Yeah. So my next question comes from Pokey Family Gaming. I've recently started selling some more pricey items on eBay. Where do you guys draw the line on signature required and insurance? So this one is actually set by eBay. To qualify for seller protection on eBay, people usually hear the term buyer protection. It's very much a thing, and it's probably the stronger thing, but seller protection does exist too. At $750, that is the threshold by where to qualify for seller protection, you need to have signature on your items $750 and up. So I just conform to what eBay requires. I do have an insurance policy, like a business insurance policy that insures my inbound and outbound shipments. I kind of want to make a video on that at some point down the line. I've got it in my notes to do that. So someday I'll make a video on it. But anytime I ship with one of the major three carriers, USPS, UPS, and FedEx, if I have signature required, I'm covered to a quite high limit, higher than I normally ever ship. So anything under 750, I pretty much just self-insure. People put a lot of hate on the post office, and I think a lot of it's unwarranted. I have very few packages domestic have issues or get lost. So if you ran the numbers on it, it's all a numbers game, right? Like if you sent out $1,500 packages, whatever USPS is going to charge you for insurance, it's a profitable sale for them to sell insurance. So statistically speaking, as long as you sell a reasonable amount of stuff, it's always going to be in your interest to just self-insure, because if it's profitable for them, that means it's going to lose you money in the long term. But that said, if you're like a really small seller, if you sell only one or two things all year, and if like a $300, $400, $500 sale, if that getting lost is going to like make it so you can't pay rent next week or next month or whatever, it's reasonable to insure on lower things if you're in that position. So it's all dependent on you and your business, however you're operating.
Yeah. That about sums it up. I'm similar. 750 signature confirmation. That's eBay's rule. So gotta abide by that. TCG player though, I was surprised. They have a $250 limit. Over $250 you have to do signature confirmation.
Oh, really?
Which I thought that was ridiculously low. Because signature confirmation's like $3, which it's only a couple bucks, but still
that's over 1%. I mean, putting $3 on 250, it's not negligible. It's something.
Yeah. The other thing that I might look into in the future, especially with the consignments, is the insurance policy that you have, because that's gotten me a little bit nervous. Today actually I mailed one. I did a middleman for some two people. So when an $8,000 package that went to someone that I was middlemaning, and then I sold a PSA 9 Gold Star Rayquaza for $6,700, mailed that out, and then a PSA 9 Gold Star Umbreon for $5,000, mailed that out. And all three of those packages are just USPS express mail with signature confirmation, no insurance or anything like that. Knock on wood, I've never had an issue. So hopefully that trend continues. We'll know tomorrow.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a risk. But like you were saying, USPS is for the most part, they're really, really good about getting stuff delivered. With those higher value packages, I do like to. It costs a lot more to mail stuff express mail, but it gives you more peace of mind because the next day you know that it's there. If it's not, it should be there the following day, but you don't have to worry as long. So I'll either do express mail or occasionally I'll do FedEx overnight, which it costs around the same price as express mail. Reason why I don't do that all the time is just convenience. The post office is a lot closer to me than the FedEx drop off, so that's why I do USPS for the most part. But I would like to look into an insurance policy like that just blanket covers all your incoming and outgoing shipments.
It's nice peace of mind. And I used to insure more things. Everyone has to set their own number, like I said. for a while, like years ago, I used to do anything above $500 probably, and then it went to 1,000, 2,500, 5,000, and now it's just like anything with signature is covered. So that's big because eBay's making you put the signature on it anyways, so you're already paying it. And you were talking about express mail too. I've used that a couple times for like off eBay transactions where the buyer requested it. And I was pleasantly surprised at how cheap it was actually. Because like anytime if I sell something under under the 750 is usually where I start it. I'll move from like a bubble mailer to a small flat rate box.
Mm-hmm.
A small flat rate box with signature is like $11 already. And I think you can send a small flat rate envelope or a flat rate envelope express for like $20, and it includes signature.
Yep.
So that's pretty reasonable to me. I actually have one right here. I take like a small box, I put the card in there, padded well, and then you put that in the flat rate express envelope. So it's in an envelope, but it's a box in an envelope. So
yeah, exactly.
yeah, I was pleasantly surprised to find that was only 20, $25 somewhere in there. It seemed pretty reasonable.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's not too expensive, but it's definitely more expensive when you compare it to priority mail or first class mail.
Yeah.
But on those higher value sales, I do like to do that just for the peace of mind.
Yeah.
So my next question comes from Celebi. Do you think your pre-grades are more accurate than the actual grades? So for the most part, I don't really pre-grade too much. When I'm sending stuff off, I look and see, like if I'm sending stuff to PSA, this should get a PSA 9. Okay, we'll add this to the grading pile. This should get a PSA 7. I might not add that to the grading pile, so on and so forth. So I don't really spend a lot of time looking over cards to see what they would grade. A lot of my submissions are just bulk submissions, so it's nothing crazy. But the occasional time that I have like a higher value card that I'm sending express or whatever service level, I can remember most notably recently I had a legendary collection Charizard reverse holo, and I was 99% sure it was going to grade as a PSA 8. Especially, I know you don't like to admit this, Dan, but especially with PSA's new grading standards. I thought for sure it was going to get an 8. So I sent it off anyway because it's got some decent value. And I was really surprised when it came back as a PSA 9. I actually talked about it in a YouTube video that I did. But so yeah, I guess the one time that I do remember actually pre-grading a card and having it come back, I was under the expected grade.
So I guess their new grading standards are easier, you're saying?
No, their new grading standards are easier.
Wait, that was recently or that was a long time ago?
No, that was recently. That was 2 months ago, maybe.
So you got more than you expected, meaning they're grading easy now, right? They gave an 8, a 9.
Yeah, but that's their new grading standards.
Oh, new. That's right. 4 cert, 2 cert, 6 cert, 420 cert, all that.
What are your thoughts on this one?
I love this question, Celebi. I have rant videos planned.
Oh boy.
I know I can grade a card as well or more consistently than PSA. So there's two different things here. Nick touched on one that I was going to bring up that's very important. 99% of what I graded 10,000 cards or more in the past year. 1% of that would be like 100, right? So Of those 10,000 cards, 99% or more, I looked at them for half a second. It's mint plus, or it's worth so much that I'm going to grade it anyways. So I just chucked them out. I don't pre-grade. So it's like, I know a lot of collectors, a lot of people that are really meticulous. They'll have a spreadsheet with like their 50 cards and pre-grade and what it gets. And I've never done that. I just grade too many cards. But for the very odd, very rare handful of cards that are worth a real lot, or for some reason I look closer, PSA, CGC, BGS, any of these companies, they spend 5 or 10 seconds on your card. No one is ever going to spend the money, waste the money getting the data set. But if you sent the same card 100 times over, you're not getting the same grade. Like the variance, the spread, the lack of precision that these companies get away with, it's a joke, really, honestly. Like people, it blows my mind. Like, I don't know how much of that was a joke, but there really are people out there that like 2 cert bad, 4 cert good, 6 cert in the middle. How are people so fine with that whole thing existing? It's like, how are you okay? And then anecdotally, because that's all we can ever do, PSA's graded 40 million cards. No one can ever get a pool of data big enough to prove anything, really. It's all just anecdotes. I can show you beautiful 2 certs. I can show you hideous 4 certs, beautiful and hideous of every range, because they just always have been pretty damn inconsistent. Maybe they're more inconsistent. Like I've never taken the bait on the whole grading harsher, grading easier thing. They've just always been kind of not good at grading, is my take. There are like plus or minus 1 to 2. If you get a 9, it's probably an 8 to a 10. That weird thing though exists with PSA scale is really weird because like the amount of overlap that exists between 6s and 9 and 10s is too high because of the way they treat like corner curls on vending cards or like Masaki indents. So many Masaki 9s and 10s have indents and are actually 6s.
Yeah.
That's why like a company like CGC being a bit softer on surface, it makes it a more like a Masaki Mark card might be an 8 at CGC, which makes it not so harsh like the jump. But yeah, I think if I spent a minute or 2 on a card, or if not even just me, I'm not like some fabulous, amazing person that can just like, I'm not trying to upsell myself by saying I'm so good I can grade my card more accurately than PSA. I think anyone with 2 eyes and the ability to be objective, the biggest thing that these third-party grading companies offer us is subjectivity. Some people are just ridiculous. Some people will look at any card and they know what it's worth in a 10. So they see their cards through rose-colored lenses and they just think everything is a 10. Honestly, my opinion, that's where this whole PSA grading harder came from. People are just, they think everything they grade should be a 10. And it's just not the case. So if you can like be honest with yourself, which I think I'm capable of doing, if you can look a card over, and I mean, whitening shows pretty easy. With good lighting, hollow scratches and print lines show pretty easily. Grading a card is not difficult.
I do have to say there are more. There's a higher percentage of weaker, like 2 certs, 0 certs, weaker grades than there are 4 cert, 5 cert, 6 cert, whatever. I am a firm believer of that.
The thing is, though, there's so many more two certs, and at some point we're gonna approach to where that's not the case anymore. But like, who graded most of the PSA 10 base first Charizards? Like, statistically speaking, it's nonsense to just say that every two cert is worse than every four cert. It makes no sense.
I wouldn't say
like
it.
some people honestly claim.
Oh yeah, no. Some people won't buy two certs.
Here's the hierarchy: the worst four cert is this good, and the best two cert is this good. That is pure nonsense, statistically speaking. Like 15, 20 years ago, Gary and Ed were Gary posts them on Instagram lately every so often. 2009 was a big time, so 13 years ago, let's say.
Yep.
Gary and Ed were cracking boxes and grading pack fresh Charizards. Same as today. Some of them were ugly, and some of them should have been 8s. Some of them were 8s. Some of them got 10s that maybe today would have got an 8 or a 9. You submit, if you cracked out every PSA 10 base first Charizard, 4 cert, 6 cert, 420 cert, 2 cert, whatever, 0 cert, half of them aren't going to get 10s again. And if you crack out all of them 100 times, some of them are going to get 10s 80% of the time, and some of them are going to get 10s 20% of the time. Some of them won't get 10s again. I like it's all only anecdotal, but I've seen hideous, should be PSA 7s, PSA 8s in the 2 cert range and in the 4 cert range.
Well, look at the Charizard that just sold recently on PWCC. That was a 2 cert, and that was actually a really, really clean copy. One of the cleaner copies that we've seen recently.
They exist.
They do exist. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. But overall, it is harsher.
But then it's not as harsh in the 6 cert.
They got back to normal.
Is that actually what you're saying? Or I don't know if that's a meme. I don't know if that's real.
No, that is real for me. I do think they've overall gotten harsher.
What about, like, I just got a big sub back. I think they're all 5 cert era. So what's 5 cert?
So 5 cert's the harshest.
So these are all, hold on. These are all 9s. I've got them sorted in order. So what kind of 5 cert premium do I put on these sidewalks?
Oh man.
That's why I don't buy 10s. I sell 10s because I look at them, and a lot of, like, if I were to pre-grade my things, I very rarely pre-grade anything. But when I do, I don't pre-grade almost nothing as a 10. I don't ever expect a 10, because every card, black label cards, every card, if you get them under intense light and you really objectively look for issues, every card has flaws.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So if I see one flaw, which I pretty much always do if you look long enough, I pre-grade it as a 9+. I never expect a 10. I get a ton of them. I get 43% of the cards that PSA grades get 10s. I get a lot of them. I've had submissions with 60, 70% 10 rates. I didn't pre-grade any of those cards as a 10, 9+, mint plus, whatever.
Yep.
Because to me, like, I like mint cards. I don't pay for, I'll pay up a premium for mint cards, but I don't pay look at PSA 9 base first Charizard right now is 20 to 25 grand, and PSA 10 is $400,000. That's never going to be me. If I hit the lottery tomorrow and win $100 million, I'm going to try to buy the whole pop of all the 9s. And then I'm going to be the guy. I'm going to use like $10 million of my lottery winnings to do this huge study and just show how terrible all these companies are at grading. I'm going to send the same.
It's not just the inconsistencies come from the people grading it, and there's not like you have different people grading it each time. there is that subjectivity. Someone docks that nick of whiteness. Someone else isn't going to dock it.
The overlap of 9s and 10s is just massive. It's horribly subjective. And
but then when you look at, so like, I would say the difference between a PSA 9 and a PSA 10 is worlds different than if you get into coins. PCGS 69 versus 70, that is on a whole nother level.
Yeah.
You literally have 10 grades in between PSA 9 and PSA 10. You go MS 60 all the way up to 70. Those are all between 9 and 10.
And they get crazy with the pluses, and they do different things too. Coins get a little crazy. Then they've got CAC.
Yep.
CAC has gold, silver, and bronze stickers or whatever, different color stickers. Like, yeah, I understand why third-party grading exists and needs to. I recently commented this somewhere, I forget where, but it's gotten so beyond the original intentions because people are just kind of crazy, in my opinion, on needing 10s. It's like people care more about the labels than the cards, fairly universally. Like, at least enough of them do that it makes it a lot easier to maintain and be profitable in a Pokemon business.
Except when PSA shut down and you weren't able to send enough cards into them.
I chucked out a lot, and I have had a steady flow coming back.
I wish I have.
But yeah, I like the question a lot because I think it stimulated one of our longer responses to a question, and it got me in a little bit of ranty mode. But the biggest thing people miss is the subjectivity part, or the objectivity part of it. Most people can't be unbiased about their own cards, and that's the biggest.
I can see that to an extent. I don't know. I would say I'm almost over hard, too harsh. I wanted to say.
Oh, me too.
On my own cards. So I don't know if I can really see the scenario where the person says every single card I have is a PSA 10, because I'm the complete opposite of that.
There are a lot of people out there that you see the posts on Facebook or even E4 at times. People will put, "Oh, I got this," and the whole Forcer era, that's true. People are grading worse condition cards because they're worth grading now, and people are just bad at pre-grade. But I guess I answered that most people should be able to, but it's the objectivity part that people are missing out on, not being able to pre-grade. People treat graders like professional sports authenticators.
That's the other thing I wanted to bring up.
It doesn't take much of an expert. Those are human beings. Those are people, like, they're people making a lot less than they could make selling PSA 10s. The whole one thing that really threw me off, like, I got a little ranty on E4 about it a year or two ago, whenever it was. The black label controversy at BGS. So there's this guy who has.
Oh, I remember hearing about this. Yeah.
He did so many submissions, and his black label rates were significantly higher than anyone else's, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And people are like, oh, mathematically speaking, this percent of cards get BGS black labels, and this guy gets this percent, and there's no way that's possible. Literally, black labels are assigned by human beings at BGS. Why would one human being outside of the walls of BGS, and maybe this guy actually used to work there or something, I don't remember the whole story, but like, why do people think humans inside the walls assign every black label that's ever existed is assigned at the end of the day by a human?
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't a human be like, there's only a couple hundred human beings inside those walls, maybe 1,000.
I doubt it.
outside of the walls, there's 7 billion. You mean to tell me from a pool of 7 billion people, there's not someone expert enough to pre-grade cards really well and get a lot of black labels? It doesn't make any sense. Like the whole mathematical proof, whatever. I mean, I'm not saying there was no fishy stuff going on. There very well could have been, but you couldn't just prove that with the terrible math people were trying to employ to prove it. Because like theoretically, there are hundreds of graders at PSA all day, every day. They are the final say. Is this card a 9 or is it a 10? They saw this Psyduck and they tipped him to a 9, and they saw this Psyduck and they tipped him to a 10. There should be people out there. If one of those PSA graders quit one day and decided to just do business in Pokemon and grade cards, if PSA had any repeatability, that person should be able to get 100%, 90+% success rates on PSA 10s, right? Because they literally were doing that as a job. Whatever rate they could achieve grading cards through PSA would be the precision limit on what PSA was able to achieve while they were employed there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm making sense. I think this is all making sense, but
no, it does make sense. It does make sense, but I don't think their grading scale on paper, yes, it is perfect where this card gets a 10, this card gets a 9. But once you add that human factor, the interpretation becomes different. So I don't know if that logic does apply when you say, I was a PSA grader, I would grade this card a 10. Now I quit and I submit cards myself to another PSA grader. That same PSA grader is going to give this card a 10. I think you have a better chance of that happening, but I wouldn't say it's like a guaranteed shot.
So here's a sneak peek at a video I want to do someday. When people see PSA 8, PSA 9, PSA 10, they think of it as 3 distinct buckets. This is more what it's like. Look at the overlap there. Like, there are almost no cards that are just true 9s. Like, people think that if you cracked out a 9 and graded it 100 times, it's going to be a 9 100 times. If you cracked out 1,000 9s at random, 300 of them might be 9s. 300 of them might go to 10s, 300 go to 8s, and then 100 go to 7 or below. Because some of them probably had Masaki marks that should have been a 6, whatever. People see these grades, though, as like distinct, discrete things that PSA is able to measure, and it's not remotely. There's so much overlap between all these grades. If you've got a scale in front of you and you set a 9-pound weight on it, you can set a 9-pound weight on it 1,000 times. It's going to weigh 9 pounds every time. Maybe you got to calibrate it in between because you're beating the crap out of it with your weight. But if you grade a card 1,000 times, the cleanest, if you grade a black label 1,000, it's not going to get a black label 1,000 times.
Not a chance.
If you grade the cleanest, nicest, if you crack out Gary or Logan's BGS 10 Charizard, there are imperfections. You grade them 1,000 times at PSA, it's not going to be a PSA 10 every time. People probably wouldn't agree with me there. They probably wouldn't believe me there. But that slightly off center, that little white nick, that slightly rough corner, whatever it is that kept it from the black label, one day it's going to catch a grader that just had a bad day. That's a 9. That's all it takes.
Broke up with his girlfriend.
That's all it takes. And literally you'd turn a $700,000 Charizard into a $25,000 Charizard. That's how silly it all is, in my opinion. And the market obviously doesn't care. And you see PSA 8s and PSA 10 cases selling for $300,000, $400,000. So
like the last PSA 10 Charizard sold on Heritage, I believe. That was not a 10.
Was it a 4-cert? There was a recent 4-cert that was ugly.
I know. I think it was a 2-cert actually. I have no idea, but that was an ugly one. The PFM, he did a video similar to what you were saying with when the whole the Shining Fates BGS 10 Charizard came out.
Yep.
I forget what he was talking similar to what you were.
Resolving power.
Yes, exactly.
He went a slightly different way with it, talking about the resolving power, talking about PSA 10, PSA 9, and then half grades below.
Mm-hmm.
So where PSA has 2 grades between the 10 range and the 9 range, no half grade. Where PSA has those 2 grades, BGS has like 16.
Yeah, with all the
like
subgrades.
Because you can have a straight 10 black label, and then you can have 4 different BGS 10s. Because you can have 3 10s and a 9.5, but the 9.5 can exist in any one of the 4. And then when you get 2 9.5s, 3 9. There might even be more than 16. There's a lot of numbers in between. So his basically thing was like, not only do you have 9 and 10, now you've got to divide 9 and 10 into all these tiny buckets.
Mm-hmm.
And here's black label. And here's 3 9.5s and a 10, which is a gold label. And then it gets really silly. And basically there's no reasonable way. Like PSA doesn't have the precision. PSA doesn't have the precision to catch, and it looks tiny here. In reality, it's much bigger. But the overlap there between the 9 and the 10, PSA doesn't have the resolving power to properly separate those 2 distinct grades. So BGS in no way has the power to resolve these tiny little.
Not a chance.
Yeah.
No.
So it's
especially when BGS can't even be consistent once you get below a 9.
Grading is needed, very needed. It makes things a lot easier as a seller, but like it's gotten out of hand how much people value it, in my opinion. And it's great for me. Like I say that against my own benefit. Come to my store, buy all my 10s at a big premium over the 9s. They're probably similar condition. Statistically speaking, on average, you buy a 10, on average, it's going to be better than the average 9.
Oh, yeah.
But when you really get down to the nitty gritty, and like the low end 10, there's some really bad examples out there that are 6s because they missed the Misaki marks. They're 7s, 8s because they missed hollow scratches, whatever. Mm-hmm. It is what it is at the end of the day.
That was a good question, though.
How long did we go for that one? I got pretty ranty there.
That was about a half hour on that one.
Wow. Could have been its own podcast.
Yeah.
We only had a handful of questions, so we had to go deep on one.
Yes, exactly.
So my next question, let me find where I was, comes from Mr. Walrus. Saw your video on your trophies and the asking prices. As cards continue to rise, their liquidity diminishes as the buyer pool thins. Do you guys worry about holding assets too long as a buyer is found with all the capital tied up? So part of the reason that I made that trophy video, part of the reason that I listed my trophies is because they've appreciated quite significantly. And I mentioned it in my videos. I've got some my last 2 posts were long videos talking about the trophies, and the value's just gotten to where I feel like I'm starving my business of that capital that I could be deploying into purchases for resale, that I could be deploying into what I deem like real traditional investments, 401ks, IRAs, things like that. So I definitely worry having too much tied up in super high end, not super high end, in upper middle, lower high end, whatever you want to call it. I definitely worry about having too much in there because I just worry it could be better deployed elsewhere. I'm not like I feel like at some point the value that those cards are, it should or can only be justified by someone a fair bit wealthier than I am. That's just a lot of value to have tied up there, sitting in a safe deposit box, doing nothing. Yeah, I really, if you want to get my in-depth hour-long thoughts between the two videos, go watch both those. I don't want to do an hour here and subject Nick to that. What about you?
I'm kind of the opposite. I I don't have anything super high end in my own collection, or I guess like you said, mid tier, Mister Humble Brag over there. No, but I I like having the physical assets or physical cards versus something that you're not able to physically hold and physically see, like stocks, 401ks, all of that stuff. I'm absolutely terrible about that kind of stuff. I would say the majority of my net worth, if you want to call it that, is tied up in those physical things. Pokemon's a really big one. Another big one for me is gold and silver. That's having those physical assets is definitely something that's a lot more so than the safe route or the more secure route.
Physical assets. Remember my backdrop?
Nope, doesn't count. um but yeah, so I don't necessarily worry about the liquidity of those cards. But I think a big part of why is because of the fact that I'm also a seller, so I know how to sell these cards, and I think that's a really big thing that a lot of people don't know how to do. Which that is kind of scary when you have a massive collection and you really don't have experience selling those types of cards. That's when it can get scary. But for me, I just feel like I have all these cards and I know how to sell them. So when I do need to sell them, it'll be relatively easy to sell them. As the value increases, it's going to get a little bit tougher. But I'm I guess I'm confident in the future of the market continuing the way that it is. So I'm confident that we, as prices go up, we're going to see buyers be able to purchase these higher end items. I've always felt that obviously the primary collectors of Pokemon are our generation, people in late 20s, early 30s. So as people kind of advance in their jobs more and more, they're going to have more and more disposable income. So they'll be able to purchase higher end items. And I think that's going to continue for the foreseeable future. At least I hope it does. But yeah, that's my response to that. I know that's a big area where me and you differ quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely, I've mentioned before, personal finance and investing, things like that are definitely a passion of mine. I I mentioned in previous videos, I did a video on like, can you invest in Pokemon? And I don't really like using the word investment. I understand why people use it, buy something with intent for it to go up. But part of the reason that I feel a bit more comfortable and getting back to like, I guess expanding on my answer to this question, I have no debt. I used the 2020 boom to like really give myself good footing and give myself a good safety net of sorts. Part of the reason I was able to quit my job and do this full time, I really got into a good place financially got that foundation laid in like more traditional, more established 200 plus year history type things. And part of the reason that I wanted to list the trophies too, like there's a lot of money out there. There's a lot of people with a lot more money than me. And if the opportunity were to present itself, I just want to have them there and let people know that like they're available if people want to really pay up for them. Selling when you don't need to, like hopefully nothing ever happens in my life to where I just need to move them, but I'd rather sell them when I don't need to, or at least like toy with the idea of selling them, see if someone comes to me to really pay up, as opposed to like needing to sell them and just moving them and getting beat up a lot more. Because liquidity is very much a function of price. If I listed all those cards at 25% of the current listing prices, still a healthy profit on what I paid, they'd probably all be sold, or most of them. I mean, liquidity is very much a function of price. And cards like that, like they haven't publicly sold in years. So yeah, it's very interesting question. The next question too actually ties into a little bit of why I listed them. And so whenever you're ready to go on to the next one, I can kind of like loop back and tie in a little bit.
Yeah. So my next question comes from someone who sounds awfully like Mr. Walrus. We have Walrus Tank asks, is there a balance you guys like to run your businesses, such as cash to inventory value, depart to cash flow? I assume inventory to cash flow. Curious as to what your inventory is and what you like to maintain it at. So this is something that I want to get a lot better at. This is one of my goals for the long term. I won't even give myself a date, but to actually figure out like what I actually have in terms of like inventory. Literally count everything that I have, put it into a spreadsheet, so that way I can have a rough idea on what I have. Because right now that is not the case whatsoever. But as far as cash flow and all that, I'm really, really bad at that type of stuff. I have my monthly spreadsheets that I upload on YouTube every month, and that's basically about it. What I like to do is like March, I spent a lot on heritage auctions. So my March numbers, whenever I get those numbers, are probably going to be in the negative. So come, because I spent a lot of money on collection purchases and inventory purchases and all that stuff. So March is probably going to be a negative profit or a loss. So come April, I'm going to dial back purchases a fair bit and try my best not to purchase as much throughout April, so that April I can have an actual profit. And then come May, then I'll start getting back into purchases. So it's more so, it's not something that I have written down on paper. It's more something that I guess I do have it written down on paper, but it's more so something that I just look at my bank account and think to myself, okay, been buying a lot of collections. Now it's time to focus on selling those collections and recouping some of the money before I purchase such and such a collection. This year has been tough to kind of focus on selling and not buying, because so far this year there's been a lot of good opportunity, a lot of good collections coming up for sale. So it is tough to kind of balance those. But one thing that you always say, Dan, and I completely agree with, is you definitely want to have the cash available, cash on hand, for those once in a lifetime or great opportunities that come up. You don't always want to just scoop up all these good opportunities that you'll do decent on. You do want to have that cash reserve available for when that great opportunity does come up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's extremely important. So yeah, as far as cash flow, cash to inventory value, a lot of it's like a feel thing. There are going way back, going 8 years ago, I got into Pokemon as a hobby. I put $5,000 towards it and I flipped from there up to what I have now. I've mentioned that multiple times. Um, there used to be no real outflows because it was just kind of a side thing. I had a main job that paid the bills, that paid me a salary, and I did all my 401k from in there. Now, though, this is my full time thing. This is the only thing. So I have to be more aware and actively paying attention to cash flow because I have outflows now. For the first 6 years of 8, it was all just a fixed amount, flipping through, same money moving around, expanding inventory. But now it's like I've got payroll, I've got money going into 401ks and IRAs and things like that. Um, I did mention in a fairly recent video, I found myself in a bit of a cash flow crunch recently because the funding of my 401ks, in my mind, it was April 15th was the deadline. As an S corporation now, March 15th is the corporate deadline. So I had to have my 401k fully funded for that to the tune of 5 figures. I had to mentally, I had accounted for it a month later and it got moved up. Same time that I spent $30,000 with Heritage on those boxes. And I bought a lot of other things in the meantime. It was tight. And seeing what my bank account was, seeing what other expenditures I had on the near horizon, I definitely tried closing my eyes more and not looking at too many, not looking for deals. um, if and when a deal of a lifetime were to come up, I would have been in very bad position 3 weeks to a month ago trying to get that like purchased. I would have missed out, probably violating my own rules. So every year that goes by, at least thus far, the numbers that I like to have increased fairly substantially for like cash on hand that I like to have. Rudy's mentioned it a million times more in his older videos, but have a high limit credit card to just have a little bit of liquidity pool that you can tap into. Make sure you're careful with it. If you're not good about paying off the balance in full, might not be the best idea, but credit cards are really handy to use as like zero interest revolving loans anywhere, depending on when you charge it, when your statement period is. You're looking at like a 30 to 45 day interest free loan that just like expands your liquidity. And we talked a little bit pre-record, but at periods of lower bank account number, higher credit card balance, I'm more prone to accepting offers on my items. So if you see me post a video that I just spent 50 grand with Heritage, shoot me some offers on eBay. I'll probably give you a better deal than a week where I've got a stacked bank account and I'm looking for buys. I'm definitely going to be, everything is dynamic. So like if I've got any given random card in my inventory, there's not necessarily going to be a fixed singular price that I'll take. Depending on my mood that day, same as PSA graders. Depending on my mood that day, this Rowlet might be a PSA 9 or it might be a PSA 10. Depending on my mood that day, it might be $200, it might be 150, it might be 250. So everything is dynamic. I think that yeah, that kind of answers. So I didn't share the exact numbers, but they're a lot bigger than they used to be.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. And that's to be expected though as you grow your business.
Yeah, if someone were to approach me with a 6-figure deal most times of year, like this massive, crazy collection at 50% market value, I would find a way to make it happen. It wouldn't necessarily just be like, okay, boom, here's the check, here's the whatever, but there's definitely a number in that range that I like to be relatively able to move money around and get that much ready to deploy. Because some collections these days are just that big.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, some of them are orders of magnitude higher, but everyone has to have their own threshold.
Yeah, exactly.
So coming up on the last question, I almost missed this one, Cora Pokemon. I almost missed your question, but it was actually going to be our topic for post questions, anyways. Thoughts on eBay Vault, PSA Vault? I think I'm just getting to be a grumpy old man in my advanced age of going on 32, but I have some rant videos lined up. I feel like this is a ranty podcast.
Oh Jesus, you're on fire tonight.
PWCC, all the auction houses, PWCC, all the auction houses. We'll get into it a little bit more in our post thing, but I like the thought of the eBay vault because PWCC is not pleasing me lately. I've made a video or two where I've talked about buyer's premium, and instead of like blazing a new trail and innovating, they're opting to simply replicate Golden and Heritage. It's probably the safe move from a business standpoint. Golden and Heritage have clearly proven that those are solid business plans and lead to a lot of profit. But I really wished, we talked about it earlier with CGC, we had high hopes for them, and then they've kind of let us down. PWCC, I feel the same way. So eBay Vault is going to be more competition for us, the consumers of that service. I think it's a positive. If it sucks, PWCC kind of sucks too. So maybe they'll slightly make each other better. CGC sucks, PSA sucks. If only one of them existed, it would be way worse. So at least we have what we have. The competition we have makes them all a little bit better, at least. So PSA Vault, I don't know much of the details behind that. I know that the ownership group, the investor group that bought PSA, I believe they also bought Golden. There was talks out there of a Golden Vault. Is the PSA Vault tied in with that? Is it a slightly different thing? I don't really know, but the more competition, the better. 5-10 years from now, maybe one of them will really rise to the top, take the best of all the different worlds, and maybe we'll have really solid industry leaders. Because right now I just feel like we don't have. PSA is clearly the standout grading company, but I think there's a lot of room for improvement. I like a decent amount of things about Heritage, but there's still things I wish they could do better as well. But those are my
shipping
thoughts.
Stuff out quicker.
Yeah.
Responding to emails quicker. I still have not received my auctions from them. It took. I just paid for those the things that I bought last Thursday because it took them 2 weeks to set me up for the sales taxes exemption.
Yep.
And that was me calling them like twice a week saying, hey, I sent all my paperwork in. Can you guys get back to me? Oh, yeah, he's behind. He'll get back to you. And then, so finally I got that squared away and I paid on Thursday. I've still yet to receive any type of tracking information. I paid with my debit card, so it went right through. But yeah, anyway, eBay Vault and PSA Vault. I think I agree with you, Dan. I think it'll be interesting. It's good to have that competition. I really hope the eBay Vault does well because I think that could increase exposure to eBay, even though I would find it hard to believe there's anyone out there that doesn't know about purchasing cards on eBay, but I think it will help kind of bring exposure to eBay, kind of bring more people to eBay buying cards and having them sent right to the eBay vault and all of that stuff. The biggest question marks for me are whether or not the eBay vault. So if you buy something and have it shipped to the eBay vault, are they going to charge you sales tax? That's a big question for a lot of people because the PW. What was that? You're muted.
They claim that they won't charge for that.
Oh, really?
Sales
Okay.
tax.
So
They claim that
that's
you'll
nice
only
right
owe
there.
it if you fulfill it to yourself. Same as PWCC.
Okay. So that's a good one right there. Because I think if that weren't a thing, I don't think it would go over as well as PWCC. Um, the thing that concerns me a little bit though, which I imagine eBay has employees that specialize in trading cards, but I feel like PWCC is almost a safer option to have a vault of trading cards because their whole business is trading cards. Where eBay is a little bit of everything, but I would assume they have a department just devoted to trading cards. So hopefully that's not an issue. The the biggest, I guess the thing that I don't like about vaults in general, I don't use them because I like to have my collection with me so I can be able to see it. The biggest downside to the eBay vault is in a situation where people are going to be buying cards on eBay, shipping them right to the eBay vault, and you're just never going to actually see these cards. So who's to say? I've heard I forget where. I think this was an E4 on the E4 thread, but who's to say someone sells a fake booster box on eBay, someone wins it, ships it right to the vault. That person sells it from the vault to another person in the vault, and the cycle just keeps on repeating. You have a fake booster box sitting in the vault being sold multiple times, and nobody's ever going to realize it because everyone's just going to keep it right in the vault there. That'd be. I think eBay's going to do something to figure that out. Whether that be like they do with the raw cards with CDC authenticating them. I think they do have to. They're going to have to implement something to avoid that type of situation from happening.
Think about the potential for abuse with those fractional share companies, because I think eBay talked about potentially tying in something like that too. But imagine that Logan Paul first edition base case didn't get bought by Logan Paul. Imagine it got bought by, if I heard the name, I would, what are those fractional share companies called?
I have no idea on the name.
If I heard the name, I'd remember.
I don't pay them any attention.
Imagine if one got bought for 3.5 million and then they put up 1,000 slots at 3,500 a piece, or 3,500 slots at 1,000 a piece, and then they just got sold. That thing got locked away and 5 layers of vault storage and never see the light of day. People would be transacting the fractional shares of that in for years, decades, however long, and it would just never get opened. And
Exactly.
Rally, I think, is one of them.
That sounds right.
So yeah, I don't know that I have that same concern with eBay. I feel like they'll figure out a way to do it properly. I would never have concern for myself. I would never buy fractionally into an item like that. If I were to ever buy a box from the eBay vault, I would fulfill it to myself. Sales tax isn't a concern for us because we're businesses that don't pay sales tax on stuff for resale. So yeah, those are my thoughts on that end of it. But like, yeah, these fractional share companies that, imagine that some of them probably do have sealed product already.
Oh yeah, definitely.
definitely a dangerous incentive for them to potentially acquire stuff of unknown origin at a steep discount that is only going to be in their hands. And theoretically, you would hope and you would think, I feel like I've heard this, they have some kind of outside auditing to verify that these things exist and are stored in some way. And theoretically, you'd hope that would capture it. But like the Logan Paul case, I mean, yeah, that was that whole thing. So no need to dive too deep back into that.
But no, it'll definitely be interesting to see what happens there. I definitely think it's a good thing to give PWCC some competition, give them a run for their money.
Yeah, because you mentioned you don't utilize the service. I have 6 figures of stuff there. I have a lot of things there. I've talked about the whole bittersweet nature of like my collection becoming worth so much more. It's great that it's worth more. Same thing in the trophy video. I don't keep those cards. I don't see those cards day to day because it's just uncomfortable the value they've ballooned to, and insured or not, like I can't have those in my household. It's just not reasonable for my risk tolerance. So I have a ton of it in the PWCC vault. I have a bunch in bank safe deposit boxes just to be able to sleep well at night. So definitely whenever it gets up and running, I'm going to be like an early adopter. I'm not going to chuck my trophies there, but I'll throw something there. I'm sure they're going to have like teaser promos, same way PWCC did, to just get everything they can have in there.
Yep.
So I'll definitely get some amount of inventory out there.
And I think if eBay does it right, I think it could get really big, because if they can do like offer the same benefits as the PWCC vault and offer something where you can sell cards and they could run auctions for you and all of that stuff, I think it could get really big, because PWCC I don't like. I thought I liked the website at first, but now that they're doing the whole weekly auction things and the buyer's premiums and all of that stuff, I'm not a big fan of PWCC anymore. So I think if eBay can do all that, they would take a lot of business away from PWCC.
Yeah, if I can just send 500, 1,000 cards of my inventory down to them, I mean, exactly what PWCC was doing. They were doing that. They were tied in with eBay. They booted them off, shield bidding, this and that. Things that eBay clearly doesn't care about, because eBay could take steps to providing significantly more transparency that they just don't take. They can have, when you search for sold listings, they could have the price be green when it's sold and paid, and they can have it be red when it's sold and not paid yet.
Yep.
Or canceled and refunded later. That whole thing, yeah, we don't need to rehash the whole thing, but clearly eBay's concern was not about like price transparency and preventing shill bidding, and likely had something to do with the vault that they were planning to unveil.
I was just gonna say, was it PWCC wanting to move off eBay, or was it eBay planning to open their own vault?
I think PWCC had an amazing setup with eBay. Supposedly
they had talked about moving off eBay, or building their own website, or building up their website before they got kicked off. So was it just that, or was it also because eBay was sneakily building a vault of their own?
We'll never know, but yeah, it's such a, think about it from eBay standpoint. Like, go back to this card. Roughly, I think I have it listed on eBay for 200 or 220, somewhere in there. When I sell this card, say I sell it to you for 220, eBay makes 22, 25 bucks, whatever, 12%, 30 bucks. They make that once, and then you might like keep that forever. You might sell it again on eBay and they might make that cut. I guess it's not very active for them. It's fairly passive. They maintain the website but they're not physically touching it. But like the dream scenario for them, I send this to the vault. They one time on the way in, they authenticate it, whatever, verify it's good. They put it in a dark room. And then through eBay's platform, I sell it to you. They make their 30 bucks. It doesn't physically move. Some ones and zeros in the computer move. And now it's on your account and not mine. And then you sell it to down the line.
Yep.
And if they can build up a vault like PWCC right now, what do they have? $1 billion in their vault? They probably have hundreds of millions, if not low billions of collectibles in that vault. So every day they're not physically doing anything, but cards are like selling digitally, vault to vault, moving around. They're making tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions month, week, day, however. But like, eBay just wants to vault the entire world's worth of cards. And then it's like, what will the future be? Will they just NFT all these things, and they're physical cards supposedly that exist somewhere, but you're just digitally transacting all of them, and they're making a killing? Because one card, I mean, it's worth 200. The price could never move on it. People could just, okay, I want to sell, I want to get out of it, put my money somewhere else. It's not moving. They could make $200 on a $200 card. Every time a card sells for like the 8th time at 12.5%, that's 100% of the value.
Yep, exactly.
So they like them flippy people. Because I buy a ton of my inventory on eBay. I buy it on eBay. The person I buy it from pays a seller fee. I split it up and sell it on my eBay. They're double dipping off me on almost everything I do.
Yep, exactly.
They love me. They should love me. They probably don't like me much, but
yeah, the amount of money you're paying them, that's why they like you so much.
Yeah. It's crazy to think about it, though. I'm hopeful, but the last 2 times I've been hopeful were PWCC and CGC. So,
and we know how that went over.
keep the context. I'm gonna try to stay more grounded. We'll see, though.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Well, I think that was the last question, right?
Yep, that's all the questions.
Awesome. That actually took a decent bit longer than I thought it would.
Yeah, we only had 7 questions, but
we're already an hour and a half in.
We might as well go, because it's a little bit tied in with PWCC and the whole Golden Illustrator we had listed.
Yeah. So that card originally sold for 900,000 with the premium, but it actually did not sell. The buyer never paid for it. Supposedly, we now have a sale of that card for 720,000, which I would assume the buyer paid for it or is going to pay for it, but they just they haven't gotten payment yet for it.
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. I don't understand that whole scenario. My thing is, why would anyone? So first off, how does a $900,000 buyer get to back out of the sale in the first place? How wasn't he vetted enough to be able to pay that amount? And then the second thing is, why would anyone say, okay, I'll take it for this amount, when the original winner had no intention of buying the card in the first place? I would not touch that card whatsoever. just because you don't know when that false bidder came into the bids, and it kind of ruined the auction in a way, in my opinion. So what are the first and second place bidders, the one who are actually going to pay for the card? What are they actually willing to pay for the card? If hopefully that made sense. But I would almost imagine that you'd have to rerun the auction to find that out. I don't think you could trust Golden to say, yeah, this bidder who didn't pay came in at this point. You were the high bidder at that point. Would you like the card at that price? I don't think I would trust Golden in a situation like that where it's such an expensive item. Because then what if there's other people that weren't that $900,000 buyer that were doing the same thing? They had no intention of paying, but they were just bidding it up. There's just way too many questions in that regard. So I would find it hard to believe that someone says, yeah, I'll pay this $720,000. Hopefully that does happen. That would be a really good sale. Still a really good sale for that card. But that's a tough one right there. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Ready for rant mode?
Oh boy. Let me get comfortable.
You know what really grinds my gears?
Everything tonight.
I'm getting really testy. This 1 year anniversary, I figured go out with a bang. So like the day or the week that thing sold, $900,000 with buyer's premium. They make all these posts and all these news articles go around, and Golden, when you make a publication, when you make an advertisement, whatever you want to call it, when you publicize the fact that something sold for a record price, it's a reasonable assumption that it was paid for.
Yeah.
When you say that the highest public transaction ever has just occurred, 2 weeks later, no one should be finding out that, like, through an Instagram story. Who was it? Pokemon Mafa?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really know. I know of the person. I feels like the community is accepting that is all real, and I'm not claiming that person made it up or whatever, but it is absurd that Golden hasn't come out and publicly stated any kind of a retraction of that record sale that never happened.
Yep.
Supposedly, the story is that second, third, fourth, fifth highest bidders were being contacted. The first one didn't pay. Do you want it? Whatever. 720 is the new number, so 600 before buyer's premium. It's just crazy that information is being, like, why do we accept that? I mean, what can any individual really do against it? But I went back, Golden posts like 3 times a day. I went back on Instagram and like nobody was giving them hell about it. So I went and I posted, I'm seeing on social media that this wasn't paid. Do you guys have any statement? Do you have any revision to make? I'm going to check right now, but I'm not really expecting a reply.
I almost think it's that they're in a really tough situation right now. Because I almost think they're trying to keep it hush hush as much as they can. Because obviously within the Pokemon community, everyone knows about it. But within other markets, I would imagine it's not as people don't know as much about it. And this could really affect their entire business.
That's massively concerning. And like, That's extreme market manipulation to allow that post, like the post is still there, to allow that post to just exist unretracted, unwarranted. If that all is true, you need to at least delete the old post that isn't true. But you Google it, and even if they issue a retraction, the thing that always happens in news, in the mainstream media and all that, say Golden does the right thing and say they issue a follow-up retraction, it was actually paid for this, it would still be a record. Revise the record down, 720, whatever. All the websites that picked it up aren't going to magically also follow up with the retraction.
No, the retraction's going to be the fine print.
Poke Beach will, like the small little Poke News places will, because it's big news to us.
Yeah.
But like, let me just Google it quick. Pokemon Illustrator 900K. ABC News 4, Polygon, CNN, thegamer.com, Dexerto, Hypebeast.
None of them.
Like, so it's already out there, and like, it's just concerning to me. And then tying it back to PWCC, I don't know if you also saw that set of 12 illusion.
Oh, I heard that didn't get paid either.
So the set of 12 illusion Zoroark cards, 10 of them were not paid. 10 of the 12.
Yep.
So the guy who consigned them, the owner of the cards, I guess the two highest were paid, which was kind of crazy to me. You would assume that like the absolute highest ones were the ones that weren't. But yeah, same thing. This one came from Pokemon Pacific on Instagram. I'm sharing it publicly because he shared it publicly on his Instagram. It's not like this is insider info or anything. It's out there. He went back. So I went back to PWCC's post because he made a story saying, hey, PWCC made a post about 3 record sales, record confirmed sales. And on their post, multiple people asked him, they're like, are you sure this is paid for? These are verified. Oh yeah, before we do a record breaking sale post, which is what this is. So this was paid. This was paid, but this one wasn't, the Ichiban copy. I went back to the post to say, hey, are you guys going to follow up? The owner of that card is saying that he was not paid for. It was not paid. Are you going to revise? Are you going to retract? They haven't replied to me. But I found Pokemon Pacific, the owner of the card. Probably can't read it there, but he says, this post may need to be updated. The Ichiban copy was not paid for, unfortunately. So just the fact that these companies are like pumping themselves up, like manipulating the market, stating that transactions that were not finalized as if they were record setting. And that's like really concerning.
Oh yeah.
And it's just, oh, yep, it happens. It's a thing. Delete the old post at least. Do a story saying, hey, we screwed up. We'll try to do better. That one wasn't paid. Someone got the Instagram, and my son got on the Instagram and clicked the wrong button.
Oh yeah.
Like those eBay bidders.
I can't stand those people on eBay.
But they're like brash enough to not even try to like half-ass a retraction, or it's just like, yeah, that's it. Crazy to me.
Yeah.
I think they need to be better. I think
they 100% need to be better.
The market deserves transparency and honesty, and eBay is terrible with not showing us everything they could. PWCC and Golden are terrible, pumping up these record sales that didn't happen. It's unfortunate and it's crazy. But it is what it is, I guess. It's PSA, BGS, CGC. It's what we have. Heritage, Golden, PWCC. It's what we have.
Yep. Yep.
I wish we had better, but it's what we have.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting. What do you think? What do you think about the whole second chance offer thing? Would you if you were looking to buy that card and it sold, you got outbid, would you have taken a second chance offer? So say you bid 600,000, 720 with the buyer's premium, and then someone outbid you and then didn't pay. And Golden said, "Do you want the card for what you bid?" Would you take that?
It's a silly hypothetical because it's so far above and beyond my scale.
Yeah, yeah.
But tying it back to a video I did 10 months ago, maybe. So I bought a collection, and I mentioned this on YouTube. It was in my YouTube period. I think I bid like 24 or 25, and I got outbid and I lost it. It was a complete PSA base first edition. It had that ugly 8 Charizard.
Yeah, I remember that. Yep.
So I bid low mid 20s and I lost, and I was bummed because I'm like, man, I should have bid higher. I would have done well on that lot. I mentioned in my video, I got a second chance offer a couple days later. I'm 60% sure it was shilled. Not necessarily by the eBay seller themselves. Shilling can be a lot of different things. It can be the eBay seller shilling their own item through one of their other accounts or having a buddy bid it up. Or it can be someone who just owns some of those cards who wants to go high. Whatever the case was, whoever bid the most on that didn't pay. I got a second chance offer, and part of my brain was like, I got shilled up to my max. I think I looked at it quick. The third highest bidder was like 21. Say I was 24. I think I got them to agree to not take me to my max, but to come down to like one increment above the third place.
Okay.
And I paid it. I could have stomped my feet. I could have said, this is BS. I got shill bid. I'm going to walk away. But I knew how much meat was on the bone there to like make profit in a flip.
But I think that's the difference though.
Yeah.
You have comps for that.
That's what I was going to get to. Like,
okay, sorry.
Knowing how much it was worth, knowing what the comps were, knowing how much I stood to profit at that price.
Mm-hmm.
I was happy enough to pay it, get it in, and do my thing. And I made over 10 grand flipping that lot.
Nice.
With the illustrator, it's different because if I was, again, this is why the hypothetical is a bit silly to ask me personally. If I was an oil tycoon who was worth $100 million, I wouldn't have lost it. I would have bid 2 million and won it. But like, say I lost it, I bid 850 grand and it went for 900, but now I'm being offered at 720. I would probably take it because it's like, I want this card. I'll buy the next one that shows up. I'll buy the whole damn pop report. Who cares? Like, so that's why it's silly to ask. But if I were worth $10 million, $20 million, and this was 5 to 10% of my net worth, I would become very leery and I would be like, yeah, you've got to rerun this. I don't want to take it. This is crazy. But it's just, yeah, it's all we have to go off of is the Instagram story.
Yep.
Was it his card? Was he the buyer? I have no idea. Like,
I couldn't tell you. Tell you.
How does he know? And why do we have to take his word? Nothing against him whatsoever.
Mm-mm.
Everything against Golden.
Yeah.
Like, what in the hell is going on? Crazy.
I think that's another eBay and PWCC thing where we'll never know the whole truth because those companies aren't going to want to come out and say we lied about this sale. The buyer actually didn't pay. So that's going to open up a whole other can of worms where people are going to not trust other high-end auctions. Are there going to be shill bidders in these auctions too?
In some of it, you watch that Carl Jobst video on Heritage and all the video games.
Oh,
Super
yeah,
Mario.
yeah.
there's just a lot of shady crap that goes on, and it really is disheartening. I think the worst of it is that like the super high end that's way up here, and I'm just a little guy way down here. So, but it's unfortunate. Um, it is what it is, though. You can't really.
No, there's nothing we can do about it.
No. Yeah, it is what it is.
That's pretty much sums it up right there.
Yeah. There's a decent amount of crappy stuff that goes on in the world that you really can't do much about. All I can do personally as an individual, I went to that PWCC post and I posted on it. Anyone who's 2 hours in, who's got an Instagram, scroll back and post on it. Ask them when they're going to issue a retraction. Ask them why the owner of that card is on there saying, hey guys, you're saying this is sold, but you didn't give me the money for it because it didn't sell.
Yep.
Go back on Golden's Instagram and say, hey, why did you not retract this? What's this going around Instagram that it went for 720? Maybe it'll get them, if 50 people go post, maybe they'll delete the post at least and remove some of the false record. In a perfect world, they would reissue a new statement and put it out there. But again, even that's not perfect because
like you said, there's so many other news outlets that said 900,000.
We're 20 news cycles past that news and nobody cares anymore.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's unfortunate, but something you just have to deal with.
And like getting back into the history of that card in particular, like the Illustrator card, years ago, people thought there were 4 copies and then 9 copies and then 16, and now it's 34, and then Picano's extra copies. And
Yep.
There's definitely some shady stuff that goes on.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Shady stuff goes on in the stock markets as well. I mean, it's not just like a Pokemon thing. It's not just collectibles. It's the world. It's people.
Oh, it happens everywhere. There's no perfect. Nothing is perfect.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it comes down to. But on a brighter note, which I don't even know if we should believe it now. the PSA 10 Charizard selling.
Yeah. What's even real anymore? Went for $420,000.69. Of course, it's that number, 420. Did it really go for 420K? Or was that a meme bidder that's not going to pay? 2 weeks from now, we're going to find out. Oh,
PWCC claimed it sold, so we're good to go.
Was that one PWCC?
I think it was.
I don't remember.
Probably. I'm pretty sure it was. I think it was the premier auction.
If we go off of the basis of their 67% truth rate on the Zorua and Zoroark record-breaking posts, I'm 67% confident that that's a real transaction.
Oh man. No,
so
I hope that one's real.
They made a video for that one, so it's got to be real.
Oh, there we go. That's definitely nothing. Definitely real then.
And it's a 2-cert.
I was surprised by that. I will admit, 2-certs are typically weaker, but this was definitely a strong 10. I will give it that. That is definitely one of the strongest 10s that we've seen over the past couple of months, since we've seen one like every single month. That was probably the strongest one that we've seen.
Somebody asked in the comments, was it paid for? And they said yes. Going back to the Zorua cards, somebody asked in the comments, was it paid for? Yes, we only post the record sale when it's a confirmed thing. Sometimes it takes a week to show up in their sales history, except for that one.
Yeah, so this one will definitely be interesting. This one's not as out there, I guess. Because what was gold or heritage was like 380. The last PSA 10.
Yeah. And I think that was an ugly one, right?
That was not a 10 by today's standards.
I'm going to look at what the cert was on that.
I hope it was a 2 cert.
I hope it was a 4 cert.
It better not be a 4 cert.
5 cert, because those are the best. March 4th, it went for 336. Ooh. It was a 0 cert.
Oh, see? That's why. It was Gary's first copy.
That was a Gary and Ed special.
Yeah. Yeah, it was in that's the one that was in the inner sleeve, right?
Yeah, and the top edge is you can't even see the right and left edges because of like a glare.
Yep.
But the top edge is bad.
Yeah.
Looks like a solid.
And what cert was that again? That was a new
0 cert.
So old, right?
we forgot to put. So where do the 0 certs go on the hierarchy?
Oh, that's definitely the bottom. That is the bottom.
5, 4, 6, 2, 0. For those keeping score at home.
No, even like the cases for 0 certs are god awful.
Well, you can have. I've seen 0 certs with the Lighthouse label for people who got them.
Yeah, recased.
Yep.
But have you ever had one of the 0 cert like cases and everything? Those things are terrible.
Because 0 certs are such a premium grade. I cracked out a 0 cert grand party. I've got it in my box of
labels.
Box of labels here. I cracked out a 0 cert grand party and turned it into a 4 or a 5 cert CGC or PSA 10 grand party.
What was it, a 9 or it was a 9? Well, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, why else would we?
When you see a 9 0 cert, you can be confident that that's a 4 cert, 5 cert, 6 cert, 10.
No, it's more so just a complete guess because you can't even see the back of the card with all the scratches on the case.
It's as much of a guess at any point throughout that 40. Like they've graded 40 something million cards, and they've always been pretty bad at grading. Do your own due diligence. Do your own grading. It's like whose line is anyway? What do they say? The rules are made up and the points don't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
PSA grading. The standards are made up and the grades don't matter.
Well, we are never getting on the PSA podcast.
And I shouldn't be so harsh. PSA, BGS, CGC, the standards are made up and the points don't matter. It's not just PSA by any means. They're all pretty bad.
Yeah, they're all the same.
I promise I didn't come up with that before we started recording. I promise that was just on the spot. I'm proud of myself for that.
That was a good one. I gotta give you credit for that one. Drop
it in the comments for anyone still here.
And I guess that would be a good segue to if you want to hear more jokes, join Dan on Saturday night for his very first live stream. It's going to be a regular comedy act going on. I
think I set the event up properly. Nick was able to see it on mobile, I think, but not on PC.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Saturday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Hopefully I'm able to figure out what I'm doing. I went into the whole live tab. Do you stream right from YouTube? Or do you stream from like Zoom or OBS or something like that?
Do you what's it called? The deck one.
Oh, yeah.
StreamYard.
StreamYard.
Yeah. Yep.
So just go to StreamYard, copy and paste in that stream key.
you'll have to set up an account and link your StreamYard account with your YouTube. But after that, it's real easy. But you gotta do that. It takes like 12 hours to verify. So make sure to do that beforehand.
I remember now. I did that because we were gonna do
That's
that one
right.
giveaway. That is right. I forgot about that. I already have a StreamYard account ready to go because we were gonna do that one live on my channel,
Yep.
but it wasn't ready. That worked out anyways. Now I got the 1 year on my channel. So
Yeah, so because you weren't able to do your live back 6 months ago, now you're doing your first live now.
yeah. Yeah, I'm interested to see how that goes.
That should be interesting. I'll try and pencil you into my busy schedule.
Yeah.
No, it should be a fun night. Always fun talking Pokemon, and hopefully you'll be able to answer everyone's questions in the chat, and they'll actually have some questions for you.
Yeah, hopefully someone's there because I'm going in with no plan, dialogue or anything. I've been on multiple live streams. I've been on Nick's, I've been on Jake's, I've been on Poke Knowledge. Um, I think those are all the live streams I've been on. But it's always been like conversing with the other person, ignoring chat for the most part. My brain can't like talk with someone and keep up with chat usually.
Yeah, yep.
So it'll be really interesting to try to engage more directly with chat. Try to I mean, if it's fairly low attendance, then I can probably keep up with everything. I do plan to open for myself some heavy packs of stuff I have kicking around. Trying to pull a Charizard to celebrate the 1 year.
There we go. Good luck with that.
Or maybe go real big and try to pull an old scratch.
Oh God, nobody cares about that. No, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. I give you credit for going live yourself. I don't think I could ever do that. I think I'd be way too nervous to go live by myself. It's so much pressure.
I'm a little bit nervous, and I think that's like a good thing. Like I remember, I think the first live I ever did was with Jake way back. Like I'm talking last April, probably.
Yep.
We both went on.
I think you did one before. Oh no, that was a recorded one.
Yeah.
And then we went on together for a live.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, because I did recorded ones with Jake and John well before I had the channel, and some amount of nerves there the first time I've ever. But with recording, it's like you're safe to some extent because you can not upload it the next day, or you can edit things and up. When you're live though. So I've already kind of like eased into it, going live on other people's channels.
Mm-hmm.
But now it'll be like, yeah, me versus the chat. Hopefully I'll have a rowdy crew in there and we can get a little bit riled up like I was getting tonight.
Oh, late night Saturday night. I'll be riled up at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yeah, no, that'll be fun. That'll be fun for sure.
1 year, it's crazy. Excited for the future direction. We kind of let us know in the comments below if you stuck around this long and if we kind of scared you out of the gate, or it is like that April Fool's kind of timing too.
Oh, I got a good April Fool's video. Have you planned your April Fool's video? Are you going to do anything?
You're kind of spoiling it now because they're going to see this.
I mean, I'm not going to do anything.
They're seeing this over a week before April 1st. It is a Friday, so it is like one of my normal upload days, but maybe I'll come up with something. Probably not though. Or I'm just trying to like get everyone's guard down for the massive April Fools I have planned.
I remember we were talking about something for an April Fool's video, and I said that I wanted to remember it to do it, but I completely forget what that idea was. But this one that I may or may not be doing is something that I've been thinking about for a very, very long time.
I wonder, we have like so this is episode 27. We have a 37-page Google document that we use for copy and pasting our questions for the podcast. Maybe somewhere in those 37 pages, we noted down
That
that.
could be.
I searched for April though, and I didn't see anything come up.
I wish it was. I think we were talking about it on Facebook.
That's the issue. Like when I think of a conversation we've had, is it in our Google Doc? Is it in email, text messages, Facebook messages, Discord messages? Like, did we talk about it?
Well, you could have agreed to only message me on one platform, mister.
Instagram DMs. Like, there's too many. Yeah.
And then even if it is only on one platform, you're going to be scrolling up forever.
Yeah.
Because who knows when it was? I guess we just got to start back from the beginning of our very first conversation.
Facebook messages is good because you can search it.
Oh, can you search it?
Discord, you can search. Instagram is terrible. Occasionally, I'll sell things through Instagram, and it's like, I have no idea who bought that from me, and how am I gonna find it? I hate that. It's bad.
I'm absolutely terrible about writing stuff down like that. I've gotten better the past couple weeks, but previously absolutely terrible about. We've talked about this before. eBay orders being so much easier than Instagram orders, but yeah, absolutely terrible about writing. I sold this on Instagram. I got to ship this. I actually had someone about a month ago bought something on Instagram. They paid for it right away. I said, okay, I'll ship it out tomorrow for you. A week later, they messaged me saying, hey, you never got back from your tracking. Did you ship it out? And I was, oh, whoops, my bad.
There's probably people who bought from you a year ago that you just never shipped to. They never realized. Someday you'll do a full inventory of all your eBay stuff, and you'll have like 5 spare cards that they weren't listed because you pulled them and you must have sold them, but never shipped them.
Oh, I have way more than 5 cards that are supposed to be sold but aren't. It's nothing big, but like all the small, like little 99-cent orders for getting a card, them never messaging me. There's definitely a decent bit of cards in there that aren't supposed to be.
It's crazy too to like hear James talk about it. Z&G, middlemaning. He has like 70 something orders that he's emailed to people and they just haven't gotten back to him.
Oh, I know.
Some of them days, some of them months. Like you've got 2 ends of the spectrum. You've got people that like 6 months ago you emailed them and they still haven't gotten their cards back because they haven't replied. And then you've got people that are emailing every day, where are my cards? What are you doing? And crazy.
I have some guy on eBay now that bought it's $150 worth of the pins, and I mailed them out to him. He gave me the wrong address, so luckily, when I mailed it out to him, it came back to me as the address was incorrect. So when it was being returned to me, he messaged me saying, "Hey, I gave you the wrong address. It's being returned to you. Can you ship it back out to me when you get it?" Or no, he said, "Could you let me know when you get it?" And so I said, "Yeah, we'll figure it out when I actually receive it," because I wasn't sure if it was going to be delivered to me. So I did receive it, and I emailed him saying, "Hey, I got your package. Do you want a refund or do you want me to remail it?" Waited like a week. He said, "Can you remail it to me?" He said, "Can you remail it? The address should be correct now," which on eBay, it's the same address. So I emailed him saying, "Hey, I still have this address. Is this the correct address now?" And I'm still waiting for a response from him. It's been about a week since I emailed him. So,
and you still have his money, right?
Yeah, still have his money. Still have the pins. So I'll wait as long as he wants me to wait.
Yeah.
But if he's a podcast viewer, be sure to email me back.
Yeah. And if you're a podcast viewer and you submitted through a middleman a year and a half or 2 years ago, be sure to check your spam folder. James has probably emailed you and probably has your cards ready to go. Or maybe Peter, who we're having on in 2 weeks.
That is true. That is true right there. Yeah, I don't know how people don't check their email regularly. Especially for something like that. Like when I don't understand. I don't understand how people do that. I'm
Uh,
constantly looking at my email on my phone. I got it set up where like my not my junk email, but my regular email that I use every day. Anytime I get an email, it sends me a notification on my phone.
yeah.
I don't know how everyone's not like that.
A year and a half or 2 years though, like I wonder how many people were like in college and then just lost access to their .edu email
Ah,
address or something.
true.
Or it's like I mentioned this on the forum or I mentioned this somewhere. It's morbid, but a year and a half, 2 years, even being 30-year-olds, I mean, you've got 1 out of 1,000, 2 out of 1,000 people just don't exist anymore. Some amount of people pass away. It's
Hmm.
sad and you don't want to think about it, but even at our age, it's a thing.
Yeah, yeah, that is true.
When turnaround times get that long, it's obscene to have turnaround times get that long for reasons like that.
Yeah, exactly. And hopefully we're digging ourselves out of that situation. Um, CGC, which I think it's the reason why is because nobody's submitting to them anymore. But CGC's down to 50-day turnaround times for their bulk tier. Um, I it's funny. I was actually thinking about submitting some cards into CGC under the not the bulk tier, but the one above that because it's advertised as 25 business days. So I'm thinking submit some cards into CGC so I have them for Collecticon. But I got one of my CGC returns back today, and after seeing the grades on those cards that I got back, I'm like, screw this. I'm not submitting anything under to
People say
CGC.
the new thing on the block is CGC's giving out 9.5s and 10s like crazy. You
Well,
haven't heard
that's what I
that?
thought. I was looking forward to a submission of all perfect tens.
I'll have a video next week. Um, I'm going to try to compile some data that I have. Spoilers a little bit for anyone this deep in, I might as well. I got a ton of 9.5s. I got more 9.5s in my last 500 card return, 400, 500 card return than I got in my first 4,000 cards. Similar tier of cards, non-hollow, common and uncommon, foreign base first, Gym Challenge, Gym Heroes, Neo Genesis, Neo Destiny, things like that.
I don't know how you got so lucky because mine was the same thing. It was all first edition Neo Destiny commons, and every single one of them 8.5 and 9. I don't think I got a single 9.5. Maybe I'm just shitty at pre-grading, but I don't know. I don't know what it is. It was very depressing.
Yeah, these grading companies, these auction houses, these everything,
Everything sucks.
everything sucks. Definitely.
Well, I think we went on long enough. Unless you got anything else you want to talk about. I wasn't
Well,
I wasn't sure if we'd be able to make it 2 hours, but we're 2 hours 15 minutes in.
a reasonable argument could be made that we went too long. um, yeah, I think we're going out with a bang though.
We are definitely.
This is someday we'll look back and we'll be nostalgic on the time where our podcast didn't have a name and we posted it on both our channels at the same time.
For sure. For sure. Yeah,
We're gonna
no, it'll be a fun venture. Looking forward to the future. of our combined YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Now that we have a name, a new YouTube channel, next
Monthly guests.
What was that?
Monthly guests. We're gonna rotate through
Yes, monthly guests. Next big change is going to be my background here, but that'll be for next year. We don't want to spice things up too much.
I did change mine up a little bit. I've got to get more posters and more whatever these canvas things are. I like those.
Got to do more shopping on the Pokemon Center.
I do too much on there, but I've got to do more. I mentioned, if anyone, I think this bookshelf that Snorlax is on is like a 24 by 24 semicircle. If anyone knows of a shelf that I could buy, that I could make like a sitting cutie mountain, send me a link to it so I can buy it. Because I want to get, I'll probably just have to build something. I'll just have to get like those floating shelves and put them in the corner. But yeah, if anyone's got any ideas for that, I've got a million sitting cuties that are just suffocating in their plastic bags, wanting to get out and see the podcast.
I got mine right on my computer desk now. The one you gave me. Cute little Ninetales. Hey, that's the one. That's his brother?
Yeah, I bought like 5 of them.
Man, and here I thought that was a 1 of 1 or something.
Any of the ones that I like and I know I'm gonna like open, and I definitely buy multiple. I bought.
So you're a Ninetales fan then? I'm rubbing off on you.
I had to have them so that I could like do podcast stuff.
There we go. I like it.
I bought a Sudowoodo, and James bought like an ultra premium collection off me back before Christmas for his wife, and I threw in a Sudowoodo. I think I threw in 2, one for him, one for his kid.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like it.
I'm a big fan of the sitting cuties over here.
They are pretty cute. I gotta give them that.
But yeah, I think we're both dragging it out because we just don't want to end this era altogether.
It's the end of an era right here.
If anyone's still here, it's like, I don't know what you're doing with your time. Hopefully you're watching it on like 4X. Hopefully this 20-minute trail off hasn't taken you 20 minutes. We probably should call it though. It's been real. It's been an honor serving alongside you on this no-name podcast.
It's been nice knowing you. Hopefully we can meet again in the future.
Off to bigger and better things. Maybe we'll meet in some future endeavor.
Yes. I'm sure of it.
Maybe in 2 weeks on a podcast to be named. Look for that link. We'll be blowing up our socials with it by next Thursday.
Yeah.
At least we'll give you a week's notice, and yeah, find us over there.
Hopefully we'll see you there. Hopefully you won't. Hopefully we're not too boring where you don't want to follow us over to the new channel. But
we'll bring all the same antics we've shared with you throughout this year.
Yes, exactly. But have a good one, everyone. Thank you for watching. We will see you in 2 weeks.
For a final time. Catch you all later.